It is hot today.
Yeah, we finally weather kind of broke. Looks like it's gonna be nice for quite the while now.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, good. All right. And 1, 2, 3. And welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the Put On Waivers Podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, podcasting out the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. I know it is back east as well. Rest in peace to Shock G. I got a lot of people I'm meeting who just, I didn't realize Digital Underground. I know I'm on the West Coast anyway, but they are just, that was a loss for a lot of people. They love reminiscing about, those songs, whatever. So that was cool.
Yeah, a lot of good music from that troop.
Passing away, right? Passing away, huh? My partner is James Amato. He's podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Atlantic Ocean out there in CT. How's life?
Things are good. Looks like we're finally getting that weather break to roll us into the full-time spring after a rainy and cold April and kind of chilly May. But you know what? I will take a half a chilly May for a full hot September because I just love the hot weather. So
yeah, and I've seen James chilling in a hammock. He got the hammock life out there right now.
Hammock life, yes, that was yesterday. I needed it.
Hey, you ever tell you about the hammock story where a friend of mine got rid of his Alexa?
No.
So he was talking about getting a hammock to put in his backyard, and all of a sudden on his phone he had all these ads for hammocks, and he never searched one ever. So he was like, "Okay, I got to get this thing out of my apartment." He threw his Alexa like pretty much in the trash immediately because he didn't want to deal with that part of it, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, it happens.
RTPOW podcast is my Twitter handle. JR_Amato 824 is James's. So we're doing YouTube live right now. You catch us on anywhere you can find podcasts as well. This is the Put On Waivers MLB show. So if you were looking for the selection show for the or the schedule show for the National Football League, you're probably not in the right place.
You're at the wrong podcast.
If you're looking for the 2022 mock draft, you're
definitely at the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place. Folks are listening to us in Carlsbad, California, Cooperstown, New York, Butte, Montana, Florida, Miami, Florida, one of James' favorite spots, and Kansas City, Missouri. I'm going to venture off a little bit from the beaten path as far as MLB real quick before we go to MLB. My question is to you, James. A-Rod and this investor buying the Minnesota Timberwolves, we are always been partial of like, hey, we want a basketball team back in Seattle. Nobody cares about the Timberwolves in that city. New ownership. They're going to say all the right things, but do you feel like this is a team that's going to be on the move and maybe going to Seattle in the future?
Oh, they are so going to Seattle.
Especially a son of Seattle is a part owner, right? I mean, his career was started in Seattle.
Yeah. He has the ties to Seattle. Minnesota is just not, I know the Minneapolis Lakers started there and, became the Los Angeles Lakers.
And they left.
So, Minnesota is Minnesota, and we'll see what happens with that. But we have, I know allegedly the sale was contingent on the team staying in Minnesota. That was one of the agreements. And now we've all of a sudden had this delay because this was like 6 weeks ago this first broke.
Yeah,
I know it's definitely like one of the last times we recorded. We haven't recorded in 2 weeks. And then we've heard this before. The people of Seattle have heard this before. When they sold to the Sonics to the owner of the Thunder. And next thing you knew, they were in OKC. So I don't think, and there's a lot of Timberwolves fans and there's diehard fans, but they don't have the fan base that the Supersonics had, So I'm definitely looking. Seattle deserves a basketball team one way or another. They were robbed.
They were robbed. They got a good football team. They're going to have the Kraken up there soon, and they're already sold out already for the Kraken. So as far as that goes, definitely, I think the Seattle Supersonics will be back. I did see something really quick, some old school basketball thing that I wanted to show. Just talk to you real quick about. It's just really short. There's a YouTube 90-minute thing on the 96 NBA draft, which a lot of ways could be one of the best drafts ever. Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant, Ben Wallace, Allen Iverson. If you get a chance to I'll send it to you. If you get a chance to look at that, definitely take a peek at it. It's a really good find for NBA fans.
I have seen it, but I have not seen it. So I saw that it was out there.
Oh yeah, you saw it. You haven't seen it. Seen it.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of research. Just on the Bulls, the early 90 Bulls and Pistons, just watching some old NBA highlights, and that came up in one of the feeds, but I'm aware of it. I just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. On to some baseball now. The A's. I got my Giants gear on. They got Giants background. The A's, right? So the A's, when the Raiders left Oakland, the A's immediately hashtagged rooted in Oakland. They were going to stay in the community and build that community up and build a brand new stadium in the beautiful city of Oakland, California. And then now that's not going to happen, James. Wonder what happened during that time period. Did they ever have a plan to build in Oakland?
Look, this has been going on, 40 plus years now, this whole stadium debacle in Oakland. Something's got to give. Something's got to break. It's, if there was something behind the scenes with them and the Raiders in regards to walking away from Oakland and ending up in Las Vegas, because apparently Las Vegas is the odds-on favorite to get the team now. There's talk about Portland, but I don't know if Major League Baseball wants to get involved in Portland right now with all the clashes that are going on up there. It's just,
I think it's too close. I think it's too close to Seattle too, isn't it?
I think it's close, but I think it's just one of those things where I think the last thing the city of Portland wants is, greedy Major League Baseball owners coming into this city that's really been under protest for about a year now. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's interesting how all of a sudden this is just falling apart and pressure putting on. And when the commissioner gets involved, whether it's Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA in regards to new stadiums, we've seen the Browns move. We're not saying that Oakland has the kind of pull the A's that the Browns had. But it's, you hate seeing the commissioner get involved like that and putting, laying down the law like that. And it definitely, Manfred's Manfred. I don't think he's, I think the city of Oakland may scoff at him for getting involved, but we just need a resolution to this because it's been long enough.
Has been a long time. There is to me, it's like, there's money there. There's money there. There's a community that would dive right in as far as jobs and everything else like that. I know Libby Schaaf is not the best mayor in the world, but listen, if money talks and we know what walks. If they really want to get something done in Oakland, I think they can get something done in Oakland. I don't subscribe to that. They're getting so much money. I mean, they're sitting on cash. Like all these owners get all this money, and some people like the Yankees and the Giants and the Dodgers and now the Padres are spending it, and some people don't spend it. They don't spend it at all. And what they do is they do their farm system thing. They bring everybody up, and as soon as they get to be big time and won that big time contract, they end up leaving the A's, right? So that's what the A's do. They're not.
The Braves have played in 3 stadiums.
Right.
In the time that Oakland spent, in Alameda Coliseum.
Turner Field. Turner Field got old real quick, right?
Turner Field got old real quick, yeah.
Even the Falcons too, right? In the NFL, they switch stadiums like crazy too. Georgia Dome.
They just build stadiums nonstop in Georgia.
Yeah. That's all they do is like crazy. But I mean,
have
like
no gas probably.
Yeah, they have no gas to do it now, but yeah, of course, you're right about that. Or it's like $8 a gallon now. But you know, the money is there. Like you know, they say, oh, how can the Pirates never win? The Pirates owner is just sitting on cash. He's getting money from Major League Baseball. He just says, I'm not going to spend it on players. That's why you see somebody like Josh Bell going to the Washington Nationals, who are a team who wants to win and wants to do that. So that's what it is. I mean,
and this next CBA is going to be real interesting in regards to what the players are going to concede, because a lot of rumbling I'm hearing and seeing is that the Player Association wants that floor of, you know, minimum salary cap for teams, so that you don't have these teams that get away without paying anyone.
The NFL has that too, right? Like
yes, the NFL has that minimum you have to spend at least.
Not a cap.
Major League Baseball doesn't. I mean, but Major League Baseball doesn't also. They don't have a hard cap like the other sports. And NBA has that too. So, you know, that's just a benefit for the players on the lower end of the rung. You know,
when you fans too.
I mean, when you have Giancarlo Stanton and, you know, Garrett Cole making $30 million a year, and then you have, you know, Gleyber Torres making $300,000. You know, the average salary of those three players is $20 million. That's not how it works. You know, so I think that's, you know, the Players Association is really going to push for that minimum salary cap, and we'll see how that, you know, impacts these teams.
Would it be a minimum salary cap with no cap over the top, but like teams like the Royals and the Pirates have to spend a minimum amount on salary?
Yeah, I mean the Royals do. The Royals spend a lot more than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's just one of those teams that's just been, you know, riding it for years now, getting by, you know, then building up a team that, you know, may just miss the playoffs or make a wild card game and then just clean everything up and lose faith. And that's not, you know, the Pirates are an organization that baseball really needs to put on the echelon of the Dodgers. And I'm not talking about winning, but I'm talking about their historical background when it comes to players who have played for that organization. You know, we talked about Roberto Clemente a few months ago, you know, and what his impact was and everything. So, you know, and that's, you know, the Pirates were the first team to field an all non-white baseball team, you know, in a game, 9 players. So, you know, that there's that kind of data where the Pirates should be recognized a little more. You know, but we're you know, you really see it out of that division where you have those 3 teams that will get close to the playoffs and then just clean house, and then there's a rebuild again. And, you know, you think of the Cincinnati Reds of the 70s and even the early 80s, you know, how competitive they were, you know, but it's not fair throwing. I don't think it's fair throwing the Royals. The Royals did have that time under one, you know, apart with ownership where they just had to clean house. They just had to start over. And they started over and they went to the World Series 2 years
back to back years
and won it, you know, and you know, they're competitive again this year. So, you know, and they brought some free agents in, they've signed some of their players. So, you know, it's different in Kansas City, but I think like that minimum salary.
The Marlins I thought the Marlins in there then.
Marlins definitely have to throw the Marlins in there with that one. You know, Tampa Bay, you know, you're only going to win so much in Tampa with this. You know, someone else is going to catch up to them and figure out like how to stop these players that they're bringing in and how they're doing it. But, you know, we'll see what happens with that. I think, you know, if the Players Association is going to push for the minimum cap, then, you know, the owners are going to push for a hard cap on the top, and then we will we'll see what goes from there.
Yeah, no question about it. I just want to. The players are going to want something here. This could be going to be an ugly one. I think no question about it. It's going to be right up against the time where next season is supposed to start. Like, we're going to really be in questioning whether or not the season starts on time.
Major League Baseball, I don't want to talk about drafts next year. I don't want to talk about schedule releases. I want to talk about baseball next year. So just fix this.
Yeah. I mean, to me, just like, you know what, but you know how it is. Deals don't get done unless it's like up against a deadline a lot of times in sports. So I think that's what's going to end up happening with these teams. Is I guess.
Yeah, and I think we both agree that no sport right now can afford a walk away. You know, either a lockout or a strike.
Oh,
just
that'd be
in today's
murderous.
society. So
That'd be murderous. That'd be murderous.
Especially like, even the way ratings are going, not the top of what they were, but I don't think you can really afford that. Yeah, even the NHL is coming around, and the NHL, as shitty as they have been when it comes to lockouts, they're seeing the light, and they just got a really great TV deal, returning to ESPN and everything, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Major League Baseball cannot afford a lockout.
No, they can't. I just wanted to see the rankings. I mean, the reported opening day. So like there is I'm looking at sports media, sportspromedia.com, and they're talking about the streaming numbers are good, like, for Major League Baseball. And then like the opening day was one of the most watched. And I think part of it is people were just want to have, I think on the 15th of this month, 15th of next month, California is going to lift the mask mandate. People are getting vaccinated, so you're not seeing a lot of. I know India is going through a whole bunch of outbreak right now, but you're seeing more and more things getting open up. I think people want to go out to ballparks, and people have been out in ballparks, and I think that's what people want to. People want to be able to do those things, especially in the summertime. I mean, we've been locked up for a long time in the house, and I think now that things are opening up again, I think first thing people want to do is go to a ball game.
There's going to be a lot of stuff competing for your money. It looks like Connecticut's getting rid of the mask mandate on the 19th, as long as you're fully vaccinated.
Yep.
So, we'll see what goes with that.
Is the Yard Goat still having games, or?
Yes, they started last week, so
okay,
they're still having games.
Okay, gotta have the Yard Goats. We gotta have the Yard Goats out there. So yes, I'm a Giants fan, but and they're right now 0-0 with the Pirates. Right now, we spoke about them, but the Giants are doing very well, and I think that is something that's kind of surprised a lot of people. They're taking series, from some good teams like the Padres, who have to have a little bit of a COVID outbreak now with Tatis, and I gotta say, if this would be a really big redemption for a guy who is, I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know. I thought about it the other day. It's like, why don't I like Gabe Kapler? I think everybody hates Gabe Kapler. It seems like everybody hates him, but he's winning. He and the GM are really close, and they've been doing a good job. What are your thoughts about the Giants here? I got plenty, but Kapler is doing a good job of rebounding with this team.
Yeah, and I think the Giants are a much better fit for Kapler than Philadelphia was. Philadelphia was a much more veteran-oriented team. I mean, not veteran, but older players who didn't need that rah-rah approach. I like what the Giants are doing. It's a pleasure to watch. It's fun baseball that they're playing. There's an article on CBS Sports about whether or not they can maintain it throughout the year. I hope they do. It's just it would be a really great three-way summer, Giants, Padres, and Dodgers just battling it out, because the Dodgers have fallen mightily.
They won their first month. Yeah, I mean, they won their first back-to-back games in about 2 weeks this week by beating the Mariners twice.
Yeah.
So they have not. It's been weird for them, but like I tell all these Dodger fans who I've seen them for so many times, they have that period of time in June, July where they win 45.
They'll be 58-2.
Yeah, so they do it consistently. They do it all the time. So right now the Giants are. Let's see where the Giants are. Giants are 2 games up on the Padres, and then 2.5 games up on the Dodgers.
Oh wait, so you won your bet?
Oh yeah, I won the bet. So for those who don't know about the bet was the Giants. I had a Dodger fan. The Giants were not going to be in first place for a full day by themselves. I was like, I mean, we made it so like I didn't want to make it so like, hey, they were tied 1-1, and then I win the bet. So basically, it was Giants had to be in first place by themselves. I was like, all right, and no scuff my back. I mean, so they were in first place. And the night I think
it was like 2.5 weeks ago we last recorded, and you were 1 game behind, right?
One game behind. Yeah. Giants had won their game because they were tied with the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers had lost to the Brewers, and as as I think it was Lorenzo Cain caught the last out of the game, my Apple Pay rung immediately, and I got that money from my friend. So I give him a lot of credit. Joe's good money. Joe is good money for that. As far as that, I respect him for that. But yeah, the Dodgers still probably the Dodgers are still the favorites. It'd be interesting to see if the with all these teams out here, can with the Mets, with the Phillies, with the Braves, if the Braves ever get back going in the right direction, can the Giants maintain it? We'll have to see. I don't love anybody in that Central Division, so I think the Giants could probably hang around. And the question is, will the Giants, who already have a pretty high payroll, go out there and spend money and make a trade to stay in the race? Will they go full bore and say, hey, we can let's get in the playoffs and let's see if we can do something and make some damage and do some damage? I think the one thing about Kapler that I like is the amount of time he's given Posey and some of these veterans is really working, because Posey already has like 10 home runs. Like, he is hitting bombs. So they're doing a really good job as far as that offensively. So I gotta give them a lot of credit for that. Let's see here. Roll over to the Yanks now. And then listen, the 20-16 Yankees. They just beat Toronto. They just beat the Tampa Bay Rays yesterday. They won some games in a row, and they won. They had a pretty good winning streak here, and they're playing better because of Mr. Giancarlo Stanton. James, it's. I mean, it's good. It's finally.
I mean, he's carried them, so
yes,
and Judge is still getting these little.
This is what Strawberry used to do for the Mets. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and this is what some of these really great players used to do for you offensively. They will go like 5-10 games here and kind of carry you, and that's what Stan has done, James.
Yeah, he's really been the man for them the first 2 months of the season, and I don't think even when they were losing, he was hitting. And he's hitting for average too. So that's key to that, because we haven't seen him hit for average in New York the way he did in Miami. So more power to him. I'm a Giancarlo Stanton fan, and I want to see him succeed. Again, I feel like he's among that class after with Pujous being released of those long-term contracts that are going to end when you're in your higher 30s and not so much your lower 30s. But he's doing it. He's carrying them. They just got Luke Voit back, so we'll see what happens with that. Chapman looks almost unhittable this year. Still some questions in the pitching staff. Kluber's been a little all over the place, but if he can get it going, we'll see what happens. They have that ace. Garrett Cole's been an ace. You got to call him that. It's been a stretch. A lot of people on Twitter talking about Garrett Cole being the greatest Yankee free agent signing ever, which it's not even. No, it's not. Mr. Reginald Martinez Jackson is probably one of the greatest Yankee free agent signings ever. So
revisionist history, boy, I tell you.
Yes. So it's again, when the Yankees are good and when the Red Sox are good and when the Mets are good, and the Dodgers, it's good for baseball when you have these historic franchises. And, it's really good in the New York media when both New York teams are good during the baseball season. And that's what we have right now. Yeah,
it's good. And I tell you, how much, we talk about managers, and I think, looking around baseball, and Francona is just a fantastic manager. There's some really good managers who make a difference. Akora making a difference in Boston. Everybody who you talk to, and I got people who I know who are scouts in the game, and I know some people around baseball, and they said flat out, like, how bad the Red Sox are going to be. They were telling me how bad. It's early. I get it. I understand, but they were talking about like number one pick in the draft, horrible Red Sox, and they've been anything but that. And Verdugo has been fantastic.
A lot of people were calling them for the under.
The under, yes, the under. What's the over under on the Red Sox, and they were definitely getting the under from everybody, like you said, James. But I think they've done a great job here and early on, and I think listen, they can't, especially when the pressure cooker starts really bubbling, right, in Boston. When if it gets to July and it gets to August and they're still in it, and they're 2 games ahead or 2 games behind the Red Sox, and they're right in that wild card, you can't tell that fan base, oh, we're not gonna go make a move for somebody. You can't, yeah, you can. I mean, just because you might have projected yourself as being bad, and now you're good. Like, you still got to go out there and add pieces. And I want to see the Red Sox go out there and add some pieces because that team is, that young team is really, they got some good players on that squad. And, with Bogarts, and I love Rafael Devers and Verdugo. Like I said, he's been really clutch for them and shows a lot of emotion on the field. I think that's something that, like, he'll get a game-winning base hit. He'll get an infield single, and it's like he won the World Series. He's jumping up and down at first base. So I think he's getting a chance to play every day that he wasn't going to get with the Dodgers.
And excuse me for not knowing, but is there any chance Sale is coming back this year? I mean, is that one of those non-trade deadline trades where you add to the roster, or is he out this whole season too?
I do not think so. Let's look it up because this one will give me that one right here. Let me see if that was the case. Sale. I don't think Sale is going to be. I don't think Sale's available. I don't think I'm still in the Giant section. Let's see here. That's a good question. Sometimes when players go on the injured list, I like you completely forget about them. Actually, you can completely forget about them. Active roster, Boston Red Sox. Let's see here. Depth chart. 60-day IL. 60 days.
That's what they have. He threw off the mound this week for the first time.
So, it's a possibility. So,
it's one of those, if he's back in, they're going to probably be careful with this one, but
yeah.
If anything, if he comes back, you bring him back before September 1st, say that last week of August, that's a nice stretch, and he's postseason eligible. Again, that's that trade without making a trade, adding to the roster. Yeah. Especially a Cy Young Award winner. We'll see, but it looks like they may not be in the mood to rush him back, but again, that could change with how the season goes and what kind of temperament he has. Does he want to come back?
Yeah.
Does he want to do the Matt Harvey and come back? Or does he want to do the opposite of Matt Harvey and not push it back early?
Yeah. I think with football, because that money is game checks, you push the limit to come back. I think because it's guaranteed money in MLB, these guys don't push don't push it back. If they will try to get ready, but if they're not going to be ready, they're just going to take their time and to come back,
especially with it not being an impact sport, where you have to worry about CTE somewhere down the road.
Yes.
In general, we don't see that with Major League Baseball players. Does it happen to Major League Baseball players? Yes, it has, but not at the rate that we see in other sports. So, there is, again, guaranteed money. There's no need to rush back.
No need to rush back at all. I don't think I would either. I made sure the doctor said I was ready to go. Albert Pujols, one of the best right-handed hitters of all time, right? No question about it. We all know that crazy long deal that he signed with the Angels. This is the other half of it, right? When it's time to let him go, it's time to let him go. And he wasn't happy about it. I think he's probably kind of embarrassed about it, right? You get a player of that latitude getting cut. James, I know you get. What tidbits do you have about the whole Albert Pujols situation?
What I've read is apparently the last week or so he'd been upset with manager, with Madden on how he had been treated, and added to the lineup and moved up and down and sat in games he normally wouldn't sit. And that's the aspect of the older player not seeing how they fit on the team anymore. We went through this in New York with Posada when Posada still wanted to catch every day. And I never felt Posada was a catcher to begin with. They just stuck him behind the plate because he could hit, and they wanted to keep that bat somewhere, and there was no other positions for him.
That left-handed bat, yeah.
Yeah, but it's you hate to see it come down to this. I think he has another week left on the DFA before he gets outright released. Is there a team out there for him? I don't know. There's talk of just like a comeback one day for a weekend series in St. Louis to get recognized by the Cardinal fans. But there's really not a fit for him on any other team, and this is, this is the union's, mantra when it comes to the universal DH, because if there was a universal DH, there could be a spot for him on a team, especially a young team in the National League that's looking for that leader to help get them to the next level. But, and then
I would take him in San Francisco. Why not? I mean, if you had a guy like that who was available.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, it is. It's those contracts. It's the after a certain age getting those 10-year contracts. And, they broke it down, and, his 11 best seasons, were all in St. Louis. He didn't have one season in Anaheim that was better than any season he had in St. Louis, and that's what you get into when you're talking about these contracts, these long contracts, and they're just not going to end well. We haven't seen one end well, at all. CC Sabathia, Rodriguez, probably the only 10-year contract in my lifetime that would have ended right if it wasn't for the owner, where the player would have ended, still being productive, would have been Dave Winfield. Dave Winfield's 10 years would have ended in 91. And in 91, he had a couple of solid seasons for the Angels before, going around as a DH with the Twins and the Blue Jays and getting a couple World Series championships that way. But yeah, I mean, Dave Winfield is probably the only, long 10-year contract who delivered all 10 years.
Yeah, I got to find a San Diego guy to talk about Winfield, because I wouldn't mind doing a whole show on Winfield. I mean, he was such a tremendous athlete and such a great. I mean, he was phenomenal. But yeah, I'm looking at.
I mean, the sports background of a Bo Jackson.
With
how he was drafted out of college.
Yeah, I'm looking at Albert Pujols on Baseball Reference right now, and yeah, it's clear. I mean, he's a St. Louis Hall of Famer. No question about it. I think the most.
Yeah, I don't even think he had an all-star season.
Most home runs.
Maybe one all-star game he made with the Angels.
I mean, he did have 1 year where he hit 40 home runs, but 95 RBIs.
That was his second year, right?
That was 15. So he was deep into it. That was his at 35 years old. That was his
third year.
1, 2, 3, 5, fourth year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't bad. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I listen. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. Like if you're going to dispute him as a Hall of Famer, then just build a building up.
In 2019, he had somewhat of a bounce back season. It wasn't a Pujols season, but it was a respectable season.
Yeah, 23.
And then 2020, obviously what happened in 2020, and this year. And again, if those rumblings were true that like he was becoming, he's respected in the clubhouse, but if he was fighting with the manager and complaining to the manager and complaining out loud, then the Angels may have been left with no choice on that, and you can't, as a last place club. That they've just seemed to be, and they just have to do something with that organization.
I don't know what I would. I mean, like I'm at a loss what I would do if I was if I was with the Angels. Like I'm at a loss. I don't know. I really don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I mean, their run differential is minus 38. Like they're in last place. I mean, they're below the Rangers and Mariners. Like you can't get lower than that. Like you just. I don't know what I would do.
Not with Mike Trout on that team and Ohtani. It's something about the pitching staff. They can't get pitchers to that organization, and there's still that, kind of hush-hush investigation about what happened to the pitcher who died of the opioid overdose and how much that was running through the organization. So, we don't know what impact that's having on that team, but yeah, it would be interesting too to see if, flipping back to Pujols, would La Russa bring him into Chicago if someone got hurt in Chicago to kind of lead some of these younger players.
Yeah, of course. That'd be interesting to see. I'm looking at another great right-handed hitter, one of the best of all time as well, in Miguel Cabrera. And I mean, there's no rumblings, there's no chitter chatter, but if somebody can, if teams will copy each other, I mean, would they would they copy? I mean, would the Detroit Tigers copy this mold and just say, hey, you know what? Let's do the same thing to Miggy right
I
now.
mean, who really is there to go see in Detroit if you're a Tiger fan?
I mean, it's not Miggy.
No, it's not. But I mean, he's still an attraction for them. I'm not sure what his numbers are this year. They can't be any better than Pujous, or they have to be close. But
you want them real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
116 batting average. Home runs. He has 2 home runs and 8 RBIs in 85 official plate appearances. So I mean,
it may be time.
Yeah, I mean, he's 38 years old. So I mean, so I mean, that could be a possibility for him. That could be a possibility for him as well. So
yeah, he's 38 on his passport. Don't forget.
I love it. I love that. I love it.
I mean, and it's not.
Listen.
It's not stereotyping. It's not, because it's known that Major League Baseball clubs have faked birth certificates to add years to players.
Yeah, exactly.
There's people who say, Pujous is like 46 to 47 years old.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not being racially insensitive or stereotyping. It's a known fact.
MLB does.
Major League Baseball teams have been fined for this. For faking birth certificates and adding years on the player, so
especially from those Latin American countries, because it's not as easy to find those certificates as it is like if you grew up in Miami, Florida, or in Cleveland, Ohio. So I totally that's a baseball story that continues to keep going on and on.
Which may be going back, some 45, 50 years. When you started, the players from the Dominican and the islands started to come over to play.
Yeah, I mean, once they were seeing it, they saw that ability. They're doing whatever they can. Maybe somebody was 27, really, but yeah, you know what? He's 21.
I mean, even the Hernandez brothers from Cuba.
Yeah,
Levon and El Duque were said to be much older than they actually were.
El Duque was, come on.
I think El Duque was 36 that first year with the Yankees.
I think he was like.
There's no way he was 26 years old.
Yeah, it just sounded good. He was a clutch pitcher though. He was good. He was
one of the best postseason pitchers. Underrated.
Yeah, he was really good. Can we save the Griffey stuff? Do you have the Griffey stuff, or can we save that?
We can save it. We can save it.
Yeah, we'll save it. I do want to just jump into who's better, or we talk about who's better as far as three. I got three guys. I think three guys. We got some 3 good ones here. Who's better? We pit one baseball player's career against another. First is Frank Thomas versus Will Clark.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
I can pull up the numbers too, but let's go. I'll let you.
I mean, Frank Thomas, I think, is going to have significantly more home runs.
Yes, he does. He must.
Yeah.
He has 521, so he definitely has more home runs.
Give me batting average.
Give me batting average. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put Will Clark too. Let's go. So let's go. Batting average career that's pretty good. 301. 301 batting average. Let me go to Mr. Clark real quick. Will Clark was homers are nowhere near because he had 284. Batting average is 301.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta go. As much as I love Will, I just feel like I'd have to go with I gotta go with Frank.
Yeah, Frank was a presence in that lineup. Will Clark was surrounded by a lot of good players. Will Clark, was between Matt Williams and Kevin Mitchell, those Kevin Mitchell years.
Only had 100 RBIs 1, 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah, I think the only
Frank
place
Thomas
that that
One,
Will Clark
2,
has
3,
him is
4,
defense.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hold on. 10, 11 years with 100 RBIs or more. Had a season in 2000 where he hit 43 home runs. And because he liked 43 so much, he had 143 RBIs.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus
and
Lord.
like I said, the only advantage for Clark would be defense, and it's probably not even that much higher. Yeah. Frank Thomas, after some years at first base was quick to be moved to a full-time DH. But it's definitely Frank Thomas.
So let's go because I gotta run. Let's go Miggy and Pujous.
I think it's Pujous. I
think Pujous.
Yeah, I don't think. I think the stats would be somewhat similar. Pujous may have. Miggy may have a higher batting average a couple of years.
And Miggy has a ring, right? They both have rings, right?
Miggy was a 2003 Marlin, correct? Yes. Yeah. So he's got a couple of American League championships with the Tigers, but Pujous was the best player in the National League.
Yeah.
For a significant amount of time.
No question about it. And then we'll go behind the plate, Yadier Molina or Buster Posey.
I really like Buster Posey.
Me too.
I really do. I like Buster Posey just as, he's got a baseball name. He looks like a baseball player. Not that Yadier doesn't. Defensively, they have to be similar.
They're very similar.
Yeah, I would take Posey.
I think Posey. Yeah, I think so too. But those are always a fun exercise to go through some of those. But yeah, and then he just was so. I think the one thing they have in common, which is amazing too, is that they both encompass their teams. Like you can't think of the Cardinals without thinking about Yadier Molina. He was like the first person you think of, and then. You also, when you look at Buster Posey, the first thing you think about is San Francisco Giants. No question about it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. James, listen, it's always good to see you.
Good seeing you.
Really good seeing you. Get some baseball talk in here. Did you see the video of the dude who punched the Padre fan who punched the Rocky fan in the face out of nowhere?
No, I did not see that.
It was probably one of the most he got, as soon as he did it, he got immediately jumped by the rest of the Padre fan. The Rocky fans, justifiably, but it was pretty bad. It's pretty bad footage. I just, I know alcohol is involved. People try to get all crazy, but that was pretty intense. Pretty intense as far as that goes. But listen, Put On Waivers Podcast on this channel, Cover 3D Greater Podcast, a POW NFL show, all on the same YouTube channel. And also anywhere you find podcasts, you can find James and I on the Put On Waivers MLB show. James, you have a great day. Enjoy that sun out there in Connecticut.
I am. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, bye-bye.